Hi, my name is Søren Nielsen, and in this two-part video we will look at keyframing. Now, animation in Spine is done by using keyframes, also known as keys. And keys define the start and end values of a transition, and for any position between the keys the value can be interpolated, also known as tweened. Animating a skeleton comes down to the poses defined by the keys and the position of the keys on the timeline. Before setting keys, we need to make sure that we're in animate mode, so I'm gonna click here and we're now in animate mode. And then we need to go to the animations node here in the tree and then make sure that we have the correct animation active, and in this case it's the run animation. In animate mode, the skeleton's pose comes from the keys and the current timeline position. And you can find the timeline here in the top of the dope sheet, or you can also find a separate timeline view if you go here and then click timeline. And this can be very useful if you're using dual monitors and you want to place this at the very bottom and maybe your dope sheet on the second monitor. I'm just going to close this down again. Now each second of time is represented on the timeline as 30 frames, and currently we're on frame 0, and if I go here this would be frame 30, and the distance from here to frame 30 is 1 second. As you can see, by clicking on the timeline I'm setting the timeline position, and once keys are set they will then appear down here in the dope sheet, and all these small squares here or rectangles are keys that have already been set. When you make changes to a skeleton in animate mode, the changes aren't automatically stored, so if the timeline position is altered, any changes you made are then lost. To keep the changes, we need to store them as a key by clicking the appropriate key button in either the toolbar here or in the tree, and I'll go over all the different values that we can actually key. Now let me show you what it means by keeping the changes and what happens if we don't key something that we've changed the value of. So I'll select the torso bone here and I'll rotate it, and we're currently on frame 0. Now if I go to frame 4 here and then back, the change that I just made to rotation here is not kept. So to keep the value we need to actually key it, and the color of a key button will be green if there is no key at the current frame. So for example, if I go here, you can see we don't have any keys set on this frame, which is frame 3, and these key buttons here are all green. Now if I change the rotation value, you can see that the key or the key button here for rotation became orange, and this means that the value has changed on this frame but has not yet been stored. Now if I click this, it will turn red, and now if we go to the dope sheet we can see there is a key on this frame. Now let me just quickly undo that. So let me just reiterate on the previous chapter. A key for rotation, translation and scale can be set by clicking the key buttons here next to the numeric values for each of these tools. But also, when a bone's transform has unkeyed changed, it will display a yellow key button next to the bone over here in the tree. So if I rotate the torso again, you can see we get a yellow key here, and clicking this key creates a key only for the unkeyed changes. So if I click here, you can see now we've set the key. Currently, it's not possible to key the X and Y separately for translation or scale. This means that X and Y are always keyed together, so just keep this in mind when you're doing your animations. When rotation is keyed, the direction rotation takes is always the shortest path. For example, if I key rotation here and go to a different frame, change the rotation, set a key, you can see that the path or the rotation it takes is the shortest path. Now if I were to go and rotate it down here and set the key again, it won't be going counterclockwise like it did just before, but rather it will be going clockwise. Now I'm just going to delete these keys here. Now, if you want to rotate something more than 180 degrees, that means that more than one key is needed. For example, to rotate a bone 360 degrees, 3 keys are needed. So what I'll do is I'll set the first key here at 0 degrees, and then I'll go to frame 10. I'll set the next key at 120 degrees, set a key, go to frame 20, set the next key value at 240 degrees, set a key, and I'll go to frame 30, and I'll set this value at 360 degrees and create a key. And now you can see that it keeps, or that it's rotating counterclockwise. Now there's a small trick to this, that since I have this rotation value here set to 120, if I switch these 2 keys here, like so, you can see now we will have a counterclockwise rotation. And this is because that here on 0 we have a rotation of 0. On frame 0, rotation value is 0. Go to frame 10, the rotation value is now 240, then 120, then we have back to 0 here. To key which attachment is visible on a bone, we'll first need to show or hide the desired attachment. And I'll show you how we can do this. So here in the head bone here, if I expand this in the tree, we have multiple slots, but some of these slots have more than one attachment. Now, if I zoom in here and I change the visibility dot here next to the attachments on the eye, you can see that we're changing the which attachment is visible. So we have here a surprised eye, and we have an indifferent eye. And to key this change, now notice we have next to the slot, we have a key icon here, a key button. Now if I click here, this turns yellow and means it has changed. And if I click this now, we now have set a key for this. And we can see this down here on the attach eye. And this is the eye. So we have set a key for this slot now. And I can go to different frame and I can change it back here and set another key. And now down here, you can see we have another key set for the slot. To tint an attachment in an animation, the color is set on the slot and not the attachment itself. So for example, if I wanted to change the color of the goggles here, I would not be selecting the attachment and clicking here because you can see nothing happens. If I want to change the color on the attachment, I would have to go into setup mode to do this. Instead, I select the slot and then I can click the color here and I can set it like so. And now I've tinted it red. And you can see here, the key is orange, which means that the value has changed. And if I click this, we've now set a color key down here. I can also open the slot color view and change it like so. And you can see now I've keyed it again. Now setting the alpha, which you do here, to 0 to make an attachment invisible is not an efficient way to hide an attachment. And the reason for this is that most game toolkits will spend the same effort drawing an image with 0 alpha as they do drawing an image that can actually be seen. So it's far more efficient to hide an attachment by just unchecking the visibility dot here next to the attachment and then setting a key. The draw order can also be animated in Spine, and to set a key on draw order, we go up here in the tree, and then next to the draw order node, we can click this key button here, and now we've set a value or a key for the draw order. If I scroll here to the bottom, you can see we have a draw order key. And I can animate the draw order by just expanding the node, and I'll just drag the head up here to the very top. You can see it's now in the front of everything. And the value has changed, so the key is orange, and if I click this, we've now set a key for this. Okay, so in the next video, we will take a look at how to key events, meshes, IK, and flipping. And we'll also take a look at how to use the keying shortcuts and talk a little about some runtime differences. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.